Hi and welcome to the Draw Along Club. This is episode 14, and during these videos we put up a series of poses on the screen and draw them, and we talk about the process, and you can get your sketchbook out and draw along with us if you like. I'm joined by my mum Mako.
Hello!
And this Draw Along Club, we are using Figuary poses, and we're using the same time limits that were there in Figuary, so we're kind of looking back over Figuary and talking about it. So let's get started. Oh, and I should mention that the photos, of course, come from the wonderful resource Croquis Cafe. So thank you to Croquis Cafe for the photos.
Thank you.
And you can check them out on their YouTube channel and their website. So these were 1 minute poses. And I think, you know what, in hindsight, we could have helped people with the 1 minute poses a bit earlier in the month, because 1 minute poses are a real challenge. But we did give some really useful tips, I think, in the 4th week for 1 minute poses. So we talked about the 12 line exercise just as a way of pushing you to simplify. And also just the aim of the 1 minute poses is kind of getting yourself into the right mindset for learning and getting your arm moving and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But your 1 minute poses really improved across Figuary, right?
Yeah, that I think thanks to Figuary, my short pose speed really improved, because before I had a kind of excuse. Short poses are for young brain, for young people.
For young people?
No, because old brain works slow, and strength of old brain is a persistence for longer pose. That was my excuse, but for Figuary, that excuse is unacceptable, so I had to do it.
I've never heard that excuse before. Yeah, I really enjoyed these 1 minute poses that we did for the Draw Along and in Figuary.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. It's unexpectedly. Yeah. You
just kind of have to stop worrying and thinking too much. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, you've always got that excuse that, you know what, you only had 1 minute anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that was a great experience for me. And when Ken said I should make a 1 minute drawing demo, he said 60 seconds rather than 1 minute. I said, oh my God, I can't do anything in 60 seconds.
I was trying to make it sound longer. I feel like 60 seconds sounds pretty good.
Nah.
No.
Yeah, anyway, I made it. So that was great.
Yeah, so one cool thing about doing 1 minute poses to start with is when you get to the 2 minute poses, that feels like a really long time suddenly, right? You feel like you've got a lot of time. I think I got the torso quite narrow on this guy. I think I correct it towards the end.
His torso is very thin, but because of this pose, you see both back and the side. So the contour becomes wider. But
yeah, I think he's got quite a bulky torso though, no? He's got a lot of muscle on his torso.
Yeah, but he's a very slender guy, just the pose, so have to be careful, I think.
I like your drawing on the, so my mum Mako's drawing on the right. Kind of looks like Spider-Man.
I really enjoyed that pose. It's very dramatic.
This pose, before I saw this pose, I saw posts on hashtag Figuary on Instagram, and I thought, oh, everyone's drawing his arms so long. But when you look at the actual reference, his arms really do appear very long on the photo. Like they're very sort of prominent in the reference.
Yeah, he's a very tall, slender guy, and the camera angle is looking up. So, yeah, and the head is kind of farther up, isn't it? Yeah, it is a tricky pose.
Yeah. So one thing about this guy's all of this, I think this model's called Joseph, right?
Yeah.
There's very strong lighting with his, so there's good opportunities to merge a lot of the shadow shapes, try and make some really big shadow shapes, and see how many you can just bring together into one shadow shape.
You put the shadow quite.
Yeah, I mean you don't have to, right? If you don't have the time. But we're on to the 2 minutes now, so that was a little bit more time.
Mine is more linear, isn't it?
Yeah.
So.
You know, what we always say is...
I did a bit of a shadow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, what we always say is, you know, this is all just practice, right? So it's not about the drawing outcomes. It's just about doing the drawings, putting down the lines, and learning from the process.
Yeah. I just remember that... kind of a shadowy mark on his chest. I meant kind of movement because rather than shadow, torso go kind of a whoop, torso as if covering floor, isn't there? That movement rather than shadow. Anyway.
Well, I don't know what you mean, but the photo's gone, so.
This is another strong contrast of light.
Yeah, there's a big, on her back, you can see the big shadow shape there. Very nice and simple. And you can definitely bring that into the drawing. You know, one thing we talked about during Figuary is not to just draw the outline and then try and fill with shade, but to think of those, the edges between the light and dark, as similar to the outline, because they tell you about the form, and you can build those up at the same time as the outline, right?
You put the head first. I realized I put probably head at the last stage.
Right. Yeah, I think both ways are fine, right?
Yeah.
Where do you start? You start from the shoulders, right?
Most of the time I start from shoulder because shoulders angle is crucial because it affects the head position, affects the torso position. So, but depends in it. Sometimes you can't see shoulder well.
I think one reason that I enjoy starting from the head is, you know, it's not always the same shape, but there's a fairly, you know, there's often some sort of sphere in the head, in the skull.
Yeah.
And that's fairly similar regardless of the angle.
Yes.
And so you always have this sort of known shape or starting shape to look for.
Yeah, I think both way works, I think. Yeah. Just, you know, when we practice we develop our own method, but still has to be flexible, isn't it? Because no need to stick in one method.
Yeah, definitely. What you do is you just try a range of different things, and you give each thing a good go, and you eventually find your own way. And one good thing to do is just to, you know, copy the way other people do things and see if it works for you.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh my God, this is the hardest one.
So this one is another one where the shadow shape is I found really useful.
Useful, but this is again kind of 3-point perspective. I mean, camera looking up, and we have to adjust our kind of eye or mind. We are looking up. We are not looking up because we're looking at screen or photo, but this pose was taken looking up.
Yeah, and it's weird, but I always find looking up at the figure or the face to be harder than looking down on the figure or the face.
No, I'm saying
the underside of, you know, the
probably
chin and
because
jaw.
We have a less experience in looking up figure, especially sitting figure in daily life as well as life room. Because normally we see model in kind of our eye level, isn't it?
Yeah.
And unless models pose on the platform or stage. So
Just less familiar.
yeah, I think it's just a matter of familiarity. I mean, for example, comic artists draw this kind of looking up pose very often, very dramatic way.
That's true.
Kind of, and they're very, very good at it. Looking down, looking up, that's changeable. I think we can learn from them as well.
Yeah.
I mean, good one. Good comic artists really know kind of a variation of angle.
Yeah, I think you're right. So here we're moving on to the 5-minute poses, and weirdly I found that during this practice session I enjoyed the 1 minute, I enjoyed the 2 minutes, and I think I stiffened up a little bit in the 5 minutes. Because I was like, oh god, I've got lots of time now, I should really be able to do something. And then I kind of lost the, ideally what you want to do is take that spontaneity and the energy from the 1 minute poses and 2 minute poses and bring that to your 5-minute pose. But I think I lost it a little bit, so my drawing became quite cautious.
Very natural, yeah. Because before, for me, 5 minutes was the kind of minimum, shortest time. But thanks to Croquis Cafe and Figuary, I now getting familiar with 1 minute, 2 minutes. And on the other hand, I feel same stiffness as you described when I do longer pose. So I think all matter of familiarity and the practice. Yeah.
Yeah. And another tricky thing with this pose is all the stuff that we talked so much about the importance of the torso. Basically, you can't see his torso.
Yeah.
It's all limbs, right?
Yeah.
So like all the stuff where I think often, you base a lot of the gesture and the big volumes and the big shapes, and you'd establish those in the torso, and then you would build, the peripheral things, the limbs and everything else around that. You can't see that this time, and that's a bit of a challenge. So instead, I think what I was trying to focus on was, again, the shadow shapes and what can I merge, together. And how about you? You went with a lot of movement, it looks like.
Yeah, my approach is not methodical, but more of feeling. When I felt model is kind of leaning forward, while I'm drawing, I kind of feel leaning forward, this way. And if something going far, I mean, how to say, kind of some direction away from us, I just pray, go away.
What?
Very strange, but when it's a matter of direction, because paper is a 2D, so we can't go deep or sticking out thing. But so you have to pray, go deep.
So you kind of the stuff that's going back into the image, you push,
yeah,
and the stuff that's coming towards you pull, towards you.
Just the kind of mind thing. But I failed this one. The leg he's holding should come, knee should come forward, and the toe should go deeper. Mine is flat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it doesn't look flat to me, but
I think I shouldn't be. I didn't tell myself that awareness. You know what I mean? When you're aware, it shows in drawing.
When you're aware of,
Yeah.
what things are coming forward. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny, when you recognize something, it comes into the drawing.
Yeah.
And when you don't
naturally.
realize it, your drawing just doesn't have it.
Yeah, so when you notice something go deeper or sticking out, you should just say coming out, awful, coming out.
So, I mean, that is, I think that's good advice. But one thing is that, when you have a lot of stuff that you do automatically, right?
Mm.
So you can measure things with your eye without having to think about it, or you check what's aligned with what without having to think about it too much. And so a lot of stuff for you is automated, and so just having a feeling of something coming forward is enough to bring it into your drawing, right?
Hopefully,
Yeah, you've got the muscle memory and you've got the sort of skill in your eyes to do all the tricky bits, and you just need to kind of recognize things and feel them, and they're going to come through in the drawing, and it's going to be intuitive. But if you're not as experienced as you are, you still need to build up a lot of those other skills first, and then the more intuitive stuff and the feeling stuff comes through a lot easier.
Yeah, but my point is, you always respect your feeling. If you feel it's rounded, if you feel it's angular, you should be aware what you're feeling.
Yes,
I think that's
true.
very important. Oh, this pose was very tricky. Looks very simple, but very subtle, isn't it? There is kind of foreshortening. And what do you think?
Yeah, I did think it was tricky. I thought it was, like her face is all in the dark, right?
Yeah.
So how to treat that? Just sort of light and dark on it, like
sides in dark and very, very slender, skinny, and this pose is quite tricky.
Yeah, I think also another thing is like her whole leg is in the dark, and a lot of her face is in the dark. So I struggle to figure out like how am I gonna bring across, how am I gonna bring out the sort of contrast, or the shape of the tones that explain the form.
Right.
Because it's like the whole face is in the dark, the whole leg is in the dark. It's really just the lines kind of, and the whole back is more or less in the light, apart from a cast shadow from her arm, and the cast shadow doesn't tell you about the shape as much. Yeah. So it was that was tricky,
Yeah, head is really dark, isn't it? I mean, we can see her nose and eye, but still, I mean, basically dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's really just the arms where you get like a nice sort of shadow shape to explain a little bit, the volume of it. But yeah, so what I was saying earlier about, you've got a lot of stuff automated, so you can go with your gut feeling and your intuition. And I do think it's a skill to cultivate, to be able to do to listen to your gut and your intuition. But in the earlier stages of learning, I think a lot of other stuff has to come into it that's more conscious, maybe a bit more analytical sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you do that enough, it becomes natural and automatic, and then you go with...
No, I don't mean I do everything intuitively. I mean, I use lots of analysis, but analysis and that feeling come together, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if you do it everything just analytically without feeling, I mean, you may be able to draw accurately, but somehow it's no life in it. And
Yeah.
if you just follow your feeling, everything become kind of muddy and chaotic. So I think both necessary, analysis as well as feeling.
Yeah.
So ideally, we use both at the same time.
Yeah.
I think need practice as well as kind of calmness of mind at that time.
Yeah. So our program that's coming out in enrollment's going to be in March for the Life of Drawing program. So it's really exciting. That's the next big project we're working on, and that is all about building up that sort of combination of. We start with a lot of analysis and understand all these kind of analytical skills. Alignment and measuring and comparing distances and just getting the proportions in place. And then we're going to move on to building up more of the sort of feeling-based things, more of the movement and gesture and stuff like that. So that's, you can check that out if you want to find out more at lovelifedrawing.com/lifeofdrawing. But yeah, I don't know about you, but I've just been watching my own drawing. Sorry, I haven't been looking at your drawing.
That's all right.
Yeah, I was just like, I could have done that better. I could have done that better. But that was a good session though. I enjoyed that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much.
So that was our. Did we? I was supposed to be a reflection on Figuary. I think we did reflect on Figuary a bit.
I think we learn a lot, so
so much.
Hopefully we can improve on the whole next year.
Yeah, we're excited about Figuary 2020. We've already started planning with Larry, well ahead of time, and we really did learn a lot about how to help people with their drawing habits, and I think we are just going to get better and better with that. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
all right.
Thank you so much for participating.
And if you didn't,
great
all the videos are still there, so you can still do it if you like. And thank you so much for watching, guys.
Thank you.